I was thinking if you don't have before we start, I have a parking ticket.
Yeah.
And I don't want to impose, but it said no stopping 12:30 to 1:30. I was there at 1:45 and still. Can I give this to you? No, you can't.
You better go to the court if you want to.
Oh, okay. Thanks anyway. Oh, hello and welcome to another edition of the Corner Booth Podcast here at the Snowdon Deli. I'm Aaron Rand along with Bill Brownstein and our special guest today, Montreal Police Chief Fady Dagher. Thank you so much for being here, Chief. We appreciate it. So, parking tickets aside, we have things to talk about today.
Yes.
Starting with an announcement that you made earlier in the week. You have a new plan, a 4-point plan, to address something that has been talked about and I think previously not really dealt with, effectively anyway, within the police force, systemic racism, discrimination. So perhaps we could start by you telling us what this 4-point plan is and what it sets out to do.
Okay. First of all, when we talk about racism, systemic racism or systemic discrimination, when I'm not talking about systematic, we're talking about a system, systemic, meaning inside the system of the police department, we sometimes don't even realize that we have some issues, that we have some procedure that lead us to do some discrimination without even knowing. I'm going to give you a great example. When I became the chief of Montreal, I found out that to become a police officer in Montreal, you have to go through a test of swimming test. That swimming test is the timing that you have for the swimming from one side to the other. It's a very difficult time. It's almost an Olympic score that you have to go through that
sensitivity.
Yeah, that test of the swimming. And I was like, wow, to become a police officer, you need to swim so well. So then I look inside the procedures. One of the procedures of Montreal Police is not letting the police to jump in the water when somebody is in danger, but trying to find all the tools possible to save their life, but without putting your life in danger.
Right.
Okay.
You have to be capable of saving lives without putting your own in danger. Then I was like, wait a minute, why do we have that procedure of swimming if I don't let my police officer jump in the water? So I look into it, and sure enough, it's a procedure that exists for the last 26 years, but that kind of procedures block a whole community. Example, the black community. Black community, one of the main sports for them is basketball or soccer, but not swimming. So suddenly I'm blocking the whole community becoming police officer. So I'm trying to negotiate with the city, not the city, with the government, the public security service, and the Minister of Education to see how we can reduce that test.
Okay.
Yes, you have to know how to swim, but do I need Olympian to become police officer? No. So this is a kind of discrimination systemic that we are taking away to be able to have people from the black community applying as a police
So it's
officer.
within your own department, within the police force itself.
Yeah.
Not even and works with the community because eventually, as you said, it would affect them.
It would affect them. And not only that, when you try to involve recruitment for the minority visible, most of the time we always aiming on the candidate. But what we discover, and some people will not agree with me, and it's fine, you have to convince, yes, the candidate, but also the families. Because for whatever reason, I'm Lebanese from my origin, and I was born and raised in Ivory Coast. My parents are originally from Lebanon, and in Lebanon and in Ivory Coast, the police is not well seen. The police is more seen as on the side of the corruption, repression. So when I announced my father in 1991 or 1990, when I announced him I want to become police officer, he lost it. He said, what? No. You're not going to become police officer. I raise you, I send you to Montreal to study, to come back, take care of the business in Africa, and you're going to become a police officer. It was like an insult for him. Sure enough, when I told him I was becoming police officer, I was in the academy because I knew he was going to be against it. So at the end, thank God, he became my mentor when I was a police officer. But it's a very difficult to be able to bring those barriers down because there's a mistrust
Sure.
Right.
between the police and the community sometimes.
When I heard about this plan being implemented, the first thing that came to mind is an issue that has been around here for way before you were involved in the police, which is basically driving while black and the insensitivity shown by a lot of seemingly police officers who don't come from the city necessarily. They're not Montrealers per se. And it's a problem that has persisted over the years. They jump to conclusions based on someone driving a nice car and if they are of color. Are we dealing with that kind of issue?
Yeah, we are dealing, and I was very transparent and very open to mention when the chief talked about racial profiling or social profiling, I have to do an exam in myself. So I mentioned that in the 1990s, I've been a police officer for the last 35 years. So in the 1990s, when the street gang was starting in Montreal, I was the first of doing racial profiling. I was the first of conducting. I was the first that was applying racial profiling. I'll give you an example. When I was an investigator in the street gangs, when I used to see a black person with some gold chain on him and driving a Hummer with the music, with the hip hop music, I was the first one intercepting that person. Sure enough, it was a huge mistake because it was a trap. When you're attracted by the colors, but whatever you see, and you think, oh, this is good, I'm gonna arrest this person, it's a gang, street gang, you are really in the trap. You're not hunting, you are fishing. And I learned it a few years later into 9/11, when the 9/11 happened. Since I'm Lebanese, I'm coming from Ivory Coast. At that time, after the 9/11, I became victim of racial profiling in the custom in the airports. As soon as I went to the airport, the custom people used to look at my passport. Lebanese origin, born in Ivory Coast, sir, put yourself on the side. I was like, wait a minute, why? Sir, go on the side. And I was like, wait a minute, is it because I'm Lebanese? There's no negotiation. I had to be put on the side. And this is where I realized then the indicators of the custom of who's the terrorist, who's not a terrorist, there were 56 indicators. The look, the barb, the dressing. And I was like, oh my God. Now I'm the victim of what I was doing to the black community in the 1990s. And this is where racial profiling and social profiling became, for me, a cause to defend, to fight on it. So the plan that I released now is teaching the police officer that when your eyes is attracted to something that is not criminal but is more disturbing, be careful. Maybe you have a bias. Maybe you have an unconscious bias. Maybe it is conscious. If it is conscious, we have a problem. If it is unconscious, because you see our person with a barb, I think he is a cousin of bin Laden, wait a minute, we have an issue there. And what I learned also during those years is to teach my cops, let's hunt instead of fishing, meaning, let's say you see Fady Dagher with a big barb, dressed differently, that's one thing. Does he have anything that attracts you other than the look? Does his behavior is different? Okay, if his behavior is different, what is different? I'll give you an example. This is what we're teaching the cops now. A black person, Arab person is next to the metro, sitting in the park, and he's reading, or he's listening to music, and he's dancing. Why are you going to go see him? What is he doing? He's doing nothing. He can be white, yellow, green, doesn't matter. He's doing nothing. Don't fish. The same person, these people going to see him back and forth, shaking hands and exchanging something, the same person, wait a minute, now we have a behavior. Please go see him. Please go intervene. If you don't intervene, we have an issue. A normal person would wonder what this person is doing in the park, exchanging things with the hand. Well, it's normal to go see him, but if the same person is reading a book or dancing or talking with people just like that, you are just fishing. This is a very,
as I hear you describe this, I can't help but think you're dealing with that now internally within the police force, right? There is this subconscious bias that already exists.
Right.
Yes.
How hard is it to turn that around?
It is hard. It is hard because a human being, and now we're talking about police officers, But any citizen in Montreal, all over the world, we all have bias, we all have prejudice, and we all have in ourselves, for whatever reason. Myself, I have some. But what I'm trying to teach the police officer is when you wear the uniform, keep your opinion at home. When you are working, you are professional, and those kind of biased, you have to, I've been reading a book recently. I forgot the author, but the title of the book is Think Again. Think again. So before, when you see something attracting your eye, think again before you act. Think again before you act, because you have to wonder what attracts you.
Yeah.
If it is the color of the car, of and it's not easy, because when you have this discussion, first of all, you have to tell them, hey, listen, I'm not accusing you, but I'm telling you we are in a trap. So they tell me, what are you talking about? I'm going to give you a great example. Street gang in the 90s and in 2000, they understood the strategy of the police. They knew that if they have that hammer car, the gold key,
They would get stopped.
they would get stopped. So what they did, let's say they were criminals, let's say they have 10 kilos of cocaine. What they did, they make it travel by a white couple, in the Honda Accord, a couple of 50 years old, driving normally, but having in the trunk $15K, being paid $2,000 to transport that cocaine. And then I look at the cops. Are we efficient? It's the opposite. Not only we're not efficient, we are blind. It's like the Hells Angels. The bikers in the time used to have the colors on the jacket on themselves. Now they wear ties.
Right.
We don't even recognize them. So work smarter. You have to be smarter. Look beyond the picture, beyond what you see. What are the behaviors? What are the intents that you have? What are the information that you have before you act?
Is that message getting through?
Yes, it is, because you see, that kind of message talks to cops. When the cops see that they're being trapped, and they see they don't realize that it is the couple of 50 years old that's transporting the cocaine, they're like, oh no, we missed the target. That language, they understand it very well. If you tell them, listen, sit in the class, we're going to teach you what a black person is about, what an Arab person is about, you lose them. You have to talk to them about operation, practical operation, that they will buy it.
Discrimination in this city is far-reaching, like on so many different levels. I mean, you've had your hands full in terms of just dealing with situations breaking out at synagogues, at mosques, and all the rest. And like, it's very. How do you deal with teaching police to kind of respond to this? Like when there's big demonstrations. I mean, and they're on both sides.
It's one of the toughest since the 7th of October, since the event of 7th of October, to find a fine line between demonstration, freedom of speech, what's anti-Semitism, what Islamophobia, and how to act and how to be able to balance, to be able to be efficient on the field and keeping and having the trust of both sides to be able to work. But I'm going to be honest with you. I mentioned it many times. The anti-Semitism has been on a rise like this never happened before.
Right.
It's I'm extremely worried about it. I keep going in the media, even with the Federation of the Jewish Community, and I keep going to mention, please, and I know it's hard and the anxiety is very high, please don't change your behavior as a Jewish community. Don't take the simosa out of the door. Don't take the kippah out. Don't cover it with a basketball hat. It's easy for me to say that, but I'm convinced that we have to continue as a Montrealers to stay, even if those wars happening in the Middle East. This is Montreal. We have to keep our DNA, and we have to try as much as possible to stay away from the extremism decision that we take for our own community. I'm going to give you an example. Montreal is not Toronto. Toronto is not Montreal. And I have nothing against Toronto. We have our own DNA. We have our own way of living together. Recently, people are asking me, Fady, you saw what the police department of Toronto did, having to take out the long rifle, and patrolling with it everywhere with a long rifle. And if when are you going to do this in Montreal? I say, well, listen to me. As long as I'm a chief in Montreal, I'm going to try to keep it as peaceful as possible. It doesn't mean I'm blind and I don't hear and I don't see. It doesn't mean at all. Those long rifles, I have them in my police car, the intervention police car, 24 on 24, 7 on 7. They are accessible, they are present, but I never show them. Why? Because I want to keep the anxiety level at the lowest possible. I want Montreal to stay Montreal, and it doesn't mean that one day I'm not going to have to use them. But if I use them on particular events, and then I make them disappear, keep them in the car. And some people are like, no, we need to see them. You don't want to go there. Because as soon as I'm going to put those rifles out, and I'm going to make them present permanently, then you're going to wonder, are we in the States? Are we in Europe? And we're not in the States. We're not in Europe. We're in Montreal. So it is a difficult dialogue that I have with different communities. But I want people to understand. The SPVM, to give you an example, when the war with Iran started a few weeks ago, some agency in Canada went on publicly saying that they're increasing the visibility in different parts of the community, in the synagogue and the different in front of the school of the Jewish community. And the Jewish, some of my partners, I've been with the Jewish community for the last 25 years. I know them extremely well. And they told me, Fady, when are you going to come out publicly to say that you're going to increase the visibility? I answered them, I'm not coming out publicly, but look what I did. At the minute the war was declared, at the minute, all the police cars, we have 2007 patrols, all of them in the computer was written, increased visibility at that building, that place, right away. I want presence. But I never went public.
The Corner Booth podcast is brought to you in part by the Snowdon Delicatessen, where we are. 75 years in business, the home of Montreal's greatest smoked meat, plus carnotzel, potato latkes, and the famous Snowdon Deli party sandwiches. That's the Snowdon Delicatessen.
But why?
But
I don't want a copycat.
Why not?
I don't
why
want people
not go public?
Yes, because I don't want to excite the people who are going to use it as an excuse to do an act in Montreal, to do a terrorist act. I'm going to give you an example. When the sad event happened at the beach in Australia, I forgot that.
Bondi Beach.
Bondi,
yes.
at Bondi. We knew, as in Intel, we worked with the Five Eyes. Five Eyes is a group of police organization, Australia, New Zealand, England, United States, and Canada. We work with the Five Eyes. We work with the States. We work with England, and we saw some extremists after this event wanted to try to do some movement, and they do the movement when the population, or not population, when the politician of the country start having speech and talking about it more and more, declaring against Bondi, against those events. And those under threat, the people who are the lonely wolf, who wants to get ready, they're just waiting for those politicians, the media, spinning the news about it. I don't want to be in that gap. I don't want the SPVM.
So that's a conscious decision for you.
Yes, it is a conscious. Why? Look, I don't say it's cause to effect. When Toronto, and I'm very close to the chief of Toronto, and this is maybe one day I will take that decision, but today I didn't take it yet. They went out publicly and say, we're going to increase visibility, we're going to increase. What happened in Toronto a few weeks ago? What happened? 3 shootings?
Right.
And the consulate of the United States was shot too. What happened in Montreal? Since the war of Iran, we have demonstration. Like in Toronto, but no shooting.
Yeah,
and all the shooting that happened in Montreal, I don't know if you remember, the Jewish schools, all of them, all the suspects were arrested.
Yeah.
We arrest them all.
Which brings up, of course, another point. You
Well,
make the arrest. We talked about this before.
Yeah, no, but it's interesting. You say by not going public, and I understand your rationale, but in the minds of some, they think
We're not doing anything.
Exactly. The perception is like, what are you doing?
That's why.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
And that's why I came here.
Right.
That's why I want to speak to the community. That's why I want the community to listen to what I'm saying, to understand more. And I told the Federation of the Jewish Community, I was yesterday with them. Yesterday I was with them, and I told them, please invite me to a podcast and let me speak to the community. I want to be able to speak about the thinking, the conscience that I have, why I'm not doing some stuff and why I'm doing some stuff, but under the radar. But trust me, when the war started in Iran, the same minute, as soon as Mr. Trump declared that, right away we increased the visibility. But it's difficult. You're right. You damn if you do, you damn if you don't. But I want people to listen and to hear, and we are here. We are present big time, and we have 100% success in the arrest of the people who shot on the synagogues or shot on the schools or did any stuff that they did. We arrest them all.
Right.
So then I guess the next question, the obviously follow-up, Fady, is how frustrating is it for the police who went ahead, made arrest, and did their job to then find out that these people, after appearing at a court hearing or charges dropped altogether, are back on the street the next day? And this happens over and over again. We have a situation actually just yesterday.
Yeah.
A woman accused of hate speech, charges dropped.
It's really frustrating. It's extremely frustrating. Put yourself in the place of my police officers, especially with those cases where they were shooting at the schools. It took us hours, thousands of hours of work to arrest the suspects. They barely got something, and they're back on the street. And that woman who raised her hand, they did I don't know how you call it.
This Hitler.
The Hitler
Final solution.
Final solution. I just found out she had a few hours of some community services, and now she's free. Hey, listen, it is very frustrating.
Frustrating is a good word.
Not only frustrating is a good word. I can really understand the community being like, what's happening? How come the person was arrested, the police did a job, and how come that person... But on the other hand, I'm not the justice system.
No, of course.
Yeah.
I'm not, I don't make the laws. And now the C9 is coming, the new law is coming. There is some progress. I hope we're going to be able to use that new, I don't have all the details of it. But the thing is, people are telling me, okay, Fady, you have new tools, powers. The thing is, how am I going to be able to use them during demonstration? How am I going to be able to... application of the law is one thing, having the law is one thing. How am I going to apply it? I had to consider many issues. So now we see how we're going to test it.
Can you just break down what that is, this new law?
I don't have all the details, but I don't have all the conclusion. Let me look into it because it just came out recently. But before, and I don't think we got everything that the community wanted. It's not tough enough. But I'm going to give you an example. Before, and I don't know if we're dealing with this with a new law, but again, I'm going to be very careful before I mention it. But we used to have the community mentioning when we talk when the people in the speech during demonstration, let's say they have a flag of the Hezbollah. This is a terrorist group,
right.
And this is a terrorist or anti-Semitism gesture having the flag. I don't know if the C9 addressed it, but I can tell you one thing. Before that, having the flag wasn't considered by Ottawa as a terrorist attack against the Jewish community. Okay. But I can imagine the Jewish community seeing that flag and saying, what the heck? We are receiving missiles in Israel, and this is not a terrorist behavior. The same flag, if the person have the flag and use it against a person and push that person with the flag, this is agression armée, assault. So you see how delicate it is, but this is something that we have to deal with. And we understand the community seeing the flag passing by, or seeing the Israel flag being burned, or the United States being burned. Fady, what are you doing? I don't have burning a flag, just burning the flag. I don't have the tools for it to accuse the person. You change the situation. If you burn the flag and use it to throw it at someone, that's a different ballgame.
You know, it's very interesting. I mean, your attitude, you're very atypical as a Montreal police person because you come from a different culture. You're very attuned to the needs and the sensitivities of all the other cultures.
I love Montrealers.
I understand that, but your recruits, for the most part, they don't come. I think the difficulty often is you're getting people who come from off island, from the region, sometimes who aren't accustomed to dealing with races. They aren't accustomed to dealing with people of color and all the rest. And I think the job there is.
It is a challenge. You're right, Bill. Still, 80% now. We were 94% majority white, French, Canadian, long roots. We are only 6% minority visible. Now, in 3 years, we are from 94%, we are down to 83%. So 17% are coming from minority visible groups. But I don't like, you're right, to attract minority visible women. It's one thing, it's very difficult, but it's getting better and better. But again, for me, it's not only statistics, those numbers. We are attracting talent. It's a privilege to have those police officers come inside the police department. But this is why my main issue and my mission is how that majority, the 84% or 83%, how I can work with them to make them understand the code of the communities that they are serving. And this is why we put in place the program Immersion. All the recruits that come in have to work 4 weeks, no uniform, no gun, and go inside the communities. Example, the Jewish community. What they do, some of the immersion program, they go inside the Federation of the Jewish Community here on Côte Sainte Catherine, and they go understand what it is to be a Jew person in Montreal, or what are the holidays, what it means those holidays. So we have immersion program for that, to make them, to open their mind, to understand the complexity of the community and the particularity of each one. But I want to tell you one thing. Racism doesn't have a color. So even when I hire black police officer or Lebanese police officer, we have bias. So be careful. So sometimes we think that because we are immigrants, we don't have any bias. That's not true. Between communities, there's racism. Between religion, there's racism, there's discrimination. Between women and men, there's discrimination, even white. So sometimes when they tell me, Fady, hire more people from the community, you're not going to have any racism. That's not true. I can even see it in some communities in the States. The shooting, the police officer is doing some shooting. When they do the stat about the shooting, black cops and Latino cops, they shoot people much more than white cops. Okay. So we have to be careful. Saying it's white and black is a gray zone. This is a gray zone. But I love to be able to be contaminate in the right way the majority of white. And I saw, to be honest with you, some of my cops coming from Saguenay, coming from the Côte Nord, white, never saw a black person, never saw an Arab or a Jew person, being curious, being interested by the community. So during the interview, now we ask questions about what is the black community for you? What is a Muslim person or Jewish person for you? And you can see, I don't know, but I'm damn curious to find out. I want to learn. I want to go eat those restaurants. I want to speak to them to understand. Then we have the right candidate. Yes. A person who doesn't care, put them away right away.
Chief, we have to wrap up. I want to just go back to what we started with, which is one of the things you mentioned is you find in cultural communities, there's a built-in bias, right? They come from other parts of the world where they distrust police to begin with, which makes the job even harder for you. So what is your message to cultural communities here in Montreal with respect to trusting the police and not necessarily being fearful of it?
Yeah. The message I would send them is the police department of Montreal, first of all, we're not perfect. It's like any organization. There's great things happening in the police, and there's some stuff happening that we're not proud of. So we are a human organization, understanding that we have some success and we have some challenges. So if your son or your daughter wants to become a police officer, they're not being hired in an organization that we don't recognize. there's some challenges. But what we are asking you is to believe that the police department of Montreal can make a difference in your community by hiring those next generation of kids coming for the community, because it's together we're going to make a change. The police department cannot stay at 17% of minority visible when Montreal is at 50%.
Yeah.
It cannot. So we have to help each other. You can have some mistrust, and I understand it, and I agree with it. But think on the long term. Do you want to be part of it, part of the change that we want to bring from the inside? Like me, 41 years in Montreal, and trust me, I still love Montreal. And my DNA, my blood is from Montreal, and I'm Lebanese from Ivory Coast. 35 years in the police. I will do it again and again, and I still know that we have some issues, some challenges, but I'm part of the solution. I'm trying from the inside. So if we have more and more people doing this, think about in the next 20 years what we can become as a police department.
Chief, I want to thank you so much for coming and being here with us today. Very much
It's a
appreciate
pleasure.
it. Wish you
Thank
the
you.
best of luck.
Yep.
Thank you.
You have your
Thank you.
work cut out for you, but I think most people get a sense that you're very encouraged
But
by
it-
what you see and what's going
You're
on.
very practical on level, because this is a 5-year plan. It's not a 5-month.
years.
Yes. So you realize that this is not an overnight thing.
Yeah.
No, it takes years, to build trust. It takes years. To lose it takes a minute, and I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
I'm aware of it. I have to be really careful.
Montreal Police Chief Fady Dagher,
Thank you.
thanks again so much.
Thank you.
Very much appreciated. We'll see you again soon on another edition of the Corner Booth Podcast.